Good morning, folks. Good morning. Another week has started. I think last week, last Friday, I probably said, I'll see you tomorrow. I might have forgotten to say, oh, it was the weekend. And yeah, I know I forget that sometimes. Anyway, how you all doing this morning? I hope you all are well. Thank God. I thank you, Lord, for another beautiful day and another opportunity to talk with my friends online and to help. My channel is designed as a means of showing you in real time artists, me working on something, whether it be animation or drawings or whatever, or even just advice for some reason. I've decided to start this channel for that purpose, to show you things in real time. And right now I'm working on a film, a little short film. This is some animation. This is a scene that I'm working on right now. And so I do this in real time so that you can see what my thought processes are as I'm working. So little Nora falls into the scene. This is from the previous action. She picks up a block, turns to set it down, and she falls into the next scene. Lenny grabs her and it sets her back up. When I start out in animation, I always usually start out with an idea. And one of the things that you might try doing when you start out on a scene is you do at least one drawing that somewhat capsulizes what you're trying to do in the scene. And then you can work around that drawing and add other drawings that start to communicate your idea. And you'll find that in some cases, what will happen is you'll start to develop the scene through your initial idea, and you start to kind of build on that idea until you get a scene. So that's kind of what I've done here. The very first drawing I believe I did on the scene, I think it might have been I think it might have been this drawing here. I don't recall, but this was kind of the antithesis. This antithesis. I don't know what that word antithesis means. I should look that up. Anyway, he's the idea was that he's catching her, and then so that started me to think, okay, so he catches her, so then what? And then I realized, well, okay, he's got to set her up, so maybe this, and then ultimately he sets his block down. Now, he's not done because there's going to be more happening here. So I would say, if I just play this, so she falls in, picks her, he props her up, and then he sets down. So maybe my next thing here is to go from where do we go from this? So if he sets her there, then we add a new frame. So he set his block down. See, so technically, then she could set her block down, couldn't she? So, oops. So we could start there. With her setting her block down, or rather, Lenny setting his block down, rather. And what I'm doing here is I'm going to straighten this block out so that it's level with the ground. And then, let's see. Oh, see, now I got her block. She has, okay, I need to make sure I got her letter on there. It's A, C, D. Okay. So, where are we at here? Right. So, A, C, I think, and D, probably like that. So then I think probably what we'll do is have her set her block on top of his here. Like that. So I could do this, or I could grab her head. Let's see. So there we go. Copy, paste. So yeah. So she's so see she's reaching over here to put her block there, right? So we keep her body where it is there, and then yeah, okay. I copy pasted her head just so I wouldn't have to draw all of it again. I use the copy paste a lot because it just saves me some time. So see, it's here, I think, yeah. And then Lenny can sit back, so I'll grab his head. Because, the head's the most complicated thing to draw. Copy, go to the blank frame, paste, and we'll set him back to here. So maybe like, let's see. Yeah, maybe he's kind of sits back. I don't know. Maybe he sits back. Yeah, he's gonna sit back. So I have to decide how I want to make that work. As he just leans back, maybe. So, yeah. Let's see. So, yeah. So he leans back like that. Yeah. Let's see. So, let's see. Maybe. I think what I'll do here is these are held for 8 frames. I'm going to increase it to 10 frames on these last two drawings. Let's play that. Oh, and save. Save. Play. Now you see also too. See we don't see how Lenny got his block over to there. He sets her up. Then the next thing we see is boom. So I'd say maybe like let's see. I wonder if I wanna. Let's see. Hmm. Well, let's see. You could. All right, let's see. What if we duplicate this frame here? And the reason why I'm duplicating this frame is because I'm going to have Lenny turn and get his block. So let's say then, all right, let's grab Lenny's head here. And I think this is the duplicator. Yeah. Then I'm going to flip this head horizontally so that he's looking this way. And okay. And I'm going to, let's see here. Well, this is going to work here. So I'm going to have him look down at the block that he's going to pick up like this. Okay. Yeah, I'm just going to completely erase his body here. So I think I'm going to need to redraw the whole thing, obviously. And grab the block, move it. So maybe like, yeah. So maybe like he's going to grab it here. Yeah. So he's turning his whole body, you see, to there to get the block. Yeah. And then Nora, we could move her head a little bit, like here. We could have her move her head just a little bit, like she's kind of a little more intent in looking at what he's doing. So, yeah, see, he turns there to bring the block back. So, let's see how that works. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, see, you can see how one action dictates another action. So, like, when you start out in the scene, there's a lot of things that may need to happen within the scene. And as you move through, you realize, okay, well, in order to get to here, we're going to have to do this. In order to get to here, we're going to have to do that. And, because every action within the scene, there has to be some motivation to get to that action. Um, the actions, action and reaction, and so on and so forth. So, at the end of this, then, um, what is going to be the next action? So now, like after he sets his block down, and then she sets her block on top of his block, then what's going to happen? Then we've got, um, now I don't know whether I want to do this in this scene or not, but I was thinking of having, okay, so, because when they're older, I have, um, Miguel come in, and then I'll have Miguel come in, then I'll have Jason come in. So I kind of am going to do a similar thing here. I'll start out with their kids. So this shows that they've always been like this. They've always helped each other. That's what's been cooking around in my head on the film, is that they're used to working together. They're used to helping each other, even from a very, very young age, even from the time that they were toddlers. Yeah. So I could stop the scene here. This might be a good place to end the scene and then just start filling in the blanks. And that kind of seems okay to me. I feel good about that. Um, yeah. All right. Okay. Well, let's see. So we could start breaking the scene down more, because as we have each action working a certain way, so if we decide this is where we want to end the scene, then the next step is starting to break down the actions, fill in some spots so that we can see how we get from one pose to the next, or what the most important thing would be to get from one pose to the next. Because in the sequence of your animation, you find your key actions, but then you start to break down the action, the positions in between key positions. Those are considered to be breakdown drawings. At this stage of animation, you're thinking through the wide, broad movements. What's going to happen, how we're getting from one pose, for instance, or one key pose to the next. It might not be as technical as, okay, that's a key, that's a key. So at this point, I kind of think all of the drawings are, you could say, key positions, or they're all important. I mean, well, realistically, every drawing in the scene is important, even the in betweens. But when you first starting out, you're sort of getting the, we'll call it landmark positions. You're finding the landmark positions throughout your scene. And then once you kind of get all of those landmark positions out of your head and down on paper or in the computer or on your tablet, then you start to go back and start to find, okay, what how did we get from this pose to this pose? So like for instance here in the beginning, she's already in movement here. So it's understandable that as she rolls into the scene, that's pretty much a complete action in and of itself. Now here he comes, turns around to help her. So realistically, there's probably still some more movement between here and there. So, for instance, I could add a drawing in here. Let's just add a blank drawing, and we'll say, well, the first thing that occurs to me is she's going to keep moving. So if I grab her again here and I go copy, go to the blank frame and paste it, then I would say she's probably going to still keep moving. Now I can move the little tilt point here and use the pivot uh, here to keep her moving, so that she's still rolling on her back even more than she was. See, the reason for that is that technically she would keep moving, and then Lenny's gonna pick her up. Now I would say he could anticipate that, so we might do that this way. So for instance, we might grab his head here, and we'll go copy, we'll go to the blank frame and paste, and we could anticipate I'm going to drop his head down a little bit. You'll see what I'm going to do here in a minute. And anticipate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have his hands come up off the block that he's holding to anticipate that he's going to help her. So he lifts his hands up off the block, both hands here. And in fact, that might even mean that he drops the block that he's holding. You know, I'd probably keep his body where it is, and I probably have the block drop. So let's say, yeah, I could have, let's see, I could grab the block here, copy that, go back to frame, paste it. So I could have him drop the block. So it's like he's here, he drops it, and it settles. So, because he's going to come over and help her, you see. Now let's flip that. Yeah, so you see he's kind of anticipating that he's going to come and help her. Just even that one drawing starts to get his movement starting in her direction. Um, Now what I could do here, she's dropping down here. So what I could do, um, let's see. So she's coming into the scene here, and then she might start to roll back. So we could add a drawing in here. So let's say we'll add a drawing in here, and let's see, we could have her start to come back up. So we could grab, all right, I'll grab this drawing here, copy it, go to the blank frame, paste it, and then we'll move our little pivot point again and say she starts to come back up. Let's see, maybe the pivot point's here. So yeah, maybe she starts to come back up, you see, that way. She starts to come back up, and we get Lenny kind of coming around. So maybe, yeah. So maybe what we could do here is grab Lenny's head here. Because see, we had anticipated him from the previous drawing. So we copy that, go to the blank frame, paste it. But then let's see, let's start to move Lenny this way, you see. And let's see, erase this out of here. So maybe what we can do here, you see, is start to have Lenny come around. So his hands are coming around, so maybe, he's coming around to help her. So his hands are moving around. And we got to figure out how the hands are gonna. But see what I mean? He's starting to move this way. There to there to there. See, I didn't even finish off his body because I wasn't sure. But we could say, that's kind of a safe idea there that he's turning to help her. Yeah. Because, we're trying to support the action, see? So she's starting to come back up. He's turning. It looks like his knee kind of comes down there. Yeah. His body kind of adjusts. The block is right. Okay. So I could have the block land where it's going to be. So, like, I could grab this here, which is where the block ends up. So we'll say copy that, go back one frame, and paste it. That's where it's going to end up. Right? And so let's play that. Yeah. But you see how he is anticipating to come up and help her. So you have a lot of things going on here at the same time. So you really do have to kind of juggle a little bit. But I think you deal with what you consider to be the major parts of your action first. So as you're working, it starts to occur to you, okay, I need to do this, or I need to do that, or whatever. So, but it isn't always clear until you're trying to fill in the gaps. And your initial drawings that you're animating, I don't know that you're necessarily thinking about in betweens even. I think you're just really trying to figure out how did you get from one pose to the next. The chart scene and everything comes after you got a pretty clear idea of what your key positions are, what your breakdowns are. Once you kind of have you've filled the gap with enough drawings that you can flip it and get a sense of how the action works, it's at that point then you start to do in betweens and work it out from that point. All right, well, we'll stop here. We're at 25 minutes. All right, folks. Well, hey, have a beautiful day. I will see you tomorrow this time. Don't forget to thank God for your talents and gifts. God is so good. So, anyway, y'all have a beautiful day. I'll see you tomorrow. And don't forget, Jesus is Lord.